Hello, in this video I would like us to discuss how to approach ECZ exam questions in literature in English, especially essay questions. So we are going to look at three things. The first one is knowing key terms. The second one is knowing the demands of a particular question. Then the third one is knowing or outlining certain events from the text by associating them with characters. So to begin with, when we talk about terms, there are certain terms that are used in phrasing these questions. Okay, by that we mean there are certain key terms that could give us direction based on what exactly the question requires us to do. For example, the common terms and phrases include discuss, trace, explain, cause and effect, ideologies, development of the plot, describe, naming of statements, and so on and so forth, as we have identified here. So what these terms mean is actually that a candidate should know specific things that they need to concentrate on, or where to start answering that particular question. From the text itself, most of the time these questions are derived from events or the way characters interact with each other, because it is from the interactions that the development of the plot actually comes to life or makes the story unfold, so to say. For example, if a question comes to say trace the origin of the Gikuyu people in the river between, a novel by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, of course the candidate is required to talk about the mythology, where these people came from, maybe highlighting things to do with Mumbi and Kikuyu, as well as how the Kikuyu people came into being, and these two regions, Kameno and Makuyu. Okay, now there could be some other instances where a question has been phrased, and in it there's actually this phrase, development of the plot. In most cases, a question could be asked as in, what is the role of Chege to the development of the plot, or Mugo wa Kibiro? Now in this case, of course, what the candidate is required to do is basically to look at the way the question has been phrased and then pick it up from there. By that we mean, okay, in this case, if Mugo wa Kibiro is the one who has been asked, what the candidate needs to concentrate on is actually to bring out exactly what Mugo did. Maybe to talk about the prophecy, maybe how that prophecy was carried on from Mugo to Chege, then later on to Wayaki, the leading character in the text itself. So here we're just looking at what exactly the character contributed, and this can also be applied to Chege, of course, or maybe Wayaki, or even other different characters to the development of the plot. So those are just examples which I've just highlighted. And then maybe just in addition to this is actually where a candidate has to know whether the question requires them to answer it from one perspective or from two perspectives. What do we mean by this? There are certain questions that requires a candidate to just respond to a question from one dimension. For example, describe the journey to the sacred grove. Now, in this case, a candidate could just describe exactly the circumstances that led to this journey, as well as what transpired at that particular tree, the Mugumo tree, the sacred grove where Chege and Wayaki went. Okay, now there are other instances where, for example, a question could demand the candidates to answer it from two different perspectives, of course also contributing to the final answer. By this, what do we mean? If you look at this question, narrate the circumstances that led to Muthoni's death and how Makuyu and Kameno became more divided than ever before. So in this case, what a candidate is required to do is to first of all narrate what are the circumstances, what are the causes. That's exactly what we're looking at. What caused Muthoni's death? Now, what a candidate needs to know here is to first of all understand the fact that there was actually some sort of misunderstanding in Joshua's house. Okay, the father to Muthoni as well as Nyambura. So in this case, a candidate needs to first of all discuss how Joshua welcomed this new religion, the beliefs that Muthoni really had, as well as having the desire to integrate both the new religion as well as their own religion, the cultural traditional religion. Okay, those are the things that a candidate needs to know. Then afterward, the second part of the question demands the candidate to also explain what exactly happened afterward. How did these people become more divided than ever? Okay, the aftermath of Muthoni's death, those are the things that a candidate needs to know. Meaning the question has two dimensions, the cause and the effect one. And these are the terms that we have identified here already, cause and effect. Then the last one is outline events by associating them with the characters in the text. Now, of course, here we mean you as a candidate need to know that there are certain events that are tied to certain characters. Okay, for example, the first example that we identified, describe the journey to the sacred grove. Each time a candidate comes across a question such as describe the journey to the sacred grove, what comes into their mind is actually associating such event to certain characters, and in this case we're referring to Wayaki and Chege, because the people who went to the sacred grove, and it is from there that certain things were revealed to Wayaki. So it becomes easy for the candidate to attempt this particular question because they have associated certain events to certain characters. Basically, that is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you for watching.